The term convergence normally refers to media and entertainment and electronics and cameras and video, but in this particular instance this is Nissan's Land Glider, and it's the convergence of the car and the motorcycle. It's two people sitting one behind the other, it's a half-width vehicle, it's electric, and it leans through corners like a motorcycle. Being fully enclosed and with impact absorption zones and a composite protection tub, the Land Glider's pilot is a lot less vulnerable than a motorcycle rider. Yet the Land Glider's lightweight and the punchy electric motors mean a motorcycle-like torque-to-weight ratio for quick acceleration, and the steer-by-wire system leans the Land Glider up to 17 degrees. Now that may not be the 45 degree plus of a sports motorcycle, and the proof of concept will surely be in the driving experience as to how drive-by-wire feels in comparison to the mechanical systems we're accustomed to in tilting vehicles, but it's more than enough to have safe, low-speed fun commuting to the office. The Land Glider is one of a new wave of single-track concept vehicles being shown by automakers this year as they begin preparing for yet another looming crisis for the auto industry. This one's called global traffic congestion. The number of vehicles on the world's road will double between 1990 and 2025, while the total length of commonly used roadway in cities will essentially remain the same. In Europe, drivers already spend 1/4 of their road-going time in traffic jams, so as the number of vehicles grows, a future of extremely congested roadways looks likely unless something is done. The developing supernations of Brazil, Russia, India and China alone will add billions of new cars to our roads over the next few decades. Automobiles per capita has long been an indicator of a country's economic prosperity, and as these highly populous nations grow wealthy, massive automobile uptake is being forecast. Right now, China has 131 cars per 1,000 people, and India has just 12 cars per 1,000. By 2050, India will have 382 cars per 1,000 people, and China will have 363 cars per 1,000. By 2050, India will be the most populous nation on earth with 1.6 billion people, and China will be close second with 1.5. Do the math and you'll begin to understand the problems we face. By 2050, China and India alone will have 1.1 billion cars, and that's more than the total number of cars in use on the planet right now, and with an infrastructure that's likely to be well behind that growth. 2 years ago, humanity passed the point where 50% of the world's population was living in urban areas. Cities are a relatively recent development in civilization. 200 years ago, just 3% of the global population lived in cities, and over the next 150 years, by 1950, that grew to 30%. But the numbers are now surging, and the number of people in urban areas will climb to 5 billion by 2030, which will be more than 60% of the population of the planet. Yet cities cannot build more roads because there is just no more space. Traffic congestion is very bad for economic health. It wastes the time of all caught in it, and the resultant inability to forecast accurate travel times means more people add additional time to their travel just in case, so they can be on time, and a huge lump of non-productive time gets added to everyone's routine. Traffic jams waste fuel, they increase air pollution, and no country knows this better than Japan, where road congestion is its worst on earth. The automobile-based mobile society that Japan helped build has ironically created the world's largest traffic jams in its heartland and has been doing so for several decades. Over that time, Japan has been learning about mass mobility in confined and congested spaces, and it's interesting to look back through previous Nissan concept cars of the last few years that have also incorporated solutions for traffic jams such as Pivo and Pivo 2. Both of which had wheels that turned 90 degrees and a 360-degree rotating cabin, offering the ability to drive out of any situation forwards. The view of many designers is that the move to smaller vehicles is inevitable to ease traffic congestion and to make a smaller object which can flow through traffic more easily at the same time as being as energy and space efficient as possible. Now, motorcycle riders have known this secret for a long time. Motorcycle point-to-point times are pretty much immune to traffic conditions. You simply ride through the jam with your smaller, more manoeuvrable machine, capable of picking its way through holes in the traffic.
Statistics from the City of London show that at peak times the average vehicle speed is just 3 miles an hour. Buses and taxis with lane privileges run an average 5 miles an hour, and the motorcycle dispatch courier averages 15 miles an hour, 5 times the average on the same roads with no privileges. In Bangkok, ranked 4th in the world's worst traffic jams by Time magazine, the fastest point-to-point vehicle is the motorcycle taxi, affectionately known as the Bangkok helicopter. On any street corner you can find a young fellow with a red jacket and a 125 scooter who will give you more bang per buck than any amusement park ride. You can spend your afternoon in the back of a taxi going a few miles, or you can go to the other side of Bangkok inside 20 minutes for a few bucks. Be warned though, the Buddhist mindset of the Thais means they're not nearly as concerned about dying as you might be. A smaller footprint on the road is a massive advantage in cutting through traffic. The average car occupancy in the United States is currently 1.57 persons per vehicle, including the driver. So the 2 seats of a single-track vehicle such as the Land Glider or Tango or Volkswagen L1 should be more than adequate for the vast majority of road trips. Not surprisingly, the first parameter chosen by Nissan in penning the Land Glider from a clean sheet was its width. Nissan kindly provided us with access to its design engineers on the Land Glider project, and it became clear that they decided the narrow width of the vehicle long before they had decided on tilting as a means of obtaining dynamic stability. The Nissan's tilting mechanism goes one step further than the tandem half-width cars shown by Volkswagen and Renault at the Frankfurt Motor Show last month. Both of those cars sit flat on the road like a conventional car, while the Land Glider's body moves in the same way as the motorcycle. The Twizy ZE, shown at Frankfurt, is an urban mobility concept proposed as one of a suite of 4 electric vehicles Renault intends to introduce over the next 3 years, and the Twizy is slated to begin production in Spain in 2011. The all-electric Twizy has a 15 kilowatts power, giving it performance comparable to a 125 scooter. It's also enclosed with driver protection, and at just 2.3 metres in length and 1.13 metres wide, it's quite small. The plug-in electric Twizy will be very nimble for urban use thanks to its feather weight of just 420 kilos, complete with batteries, and it has a 100-kilometre range. The L1 Volkswagen has an F1-inspired carbon fibre tub to protect the occupants and a frugal diesel hybrid power plant, taking advantage of the aerodynamic teardrop shape to give it a drag coefficient of just 0.195, along with an extremely small frontal area and feather-like weight, 380 kilos, means the vehicle is never going to have to work very hard, and it brings an astounding 1.4 litres per 100 kilometres from its diesel engine. That's 170 US miles per gallon or 205 imperial miles per gallon. The Volkswagen L1 is set for production in 2013, 4 years from now, when it will almost certainly be the most fuel-efficient car with an internal combustion engine available anywhere. The best-known available single-track four-wheel vehicle in the world right now is the Tango from Commuter Cars in America. At over $100,000, it's actually more an electric supercar than a commuter, but it does look like a commuter, and it has a top speed of 150 miles an hour, does a standing quarter mile in the 12-second bracket, but as the prices of lithium-ion batteries reduce over time and mass production gets underway, commuter cars expect the Tango will eventually sell for under $20,000 US. The Tango uses its batteries in the very bottom, the very floor of the vehicle to give it a very low centre of gravity. Hence it can smoke them at the racetrack, despite its seemingly precariously narrow wheelbase, and it gets through traffic, works just like a commuter. The Tango has attracted a lot of very high-profile customers to date, being available, green, exclusive, expensive and very practical. Google founders Larry and Sergey both have Tangos, as does actor George Clooney. Of the numerous tilting four-wheeled vehicle concepts going on around the world right now, probably the most likely to succeed is that of French company Lumineo, which has a narrow-track, tandem, fully electric four-wheeler named the Smera. The Smera has a decided advantage over all other four-wheel tilting concepts right now in that you can buy one. The Smera is a only available if you live in Paris at this moment, but Lumineo is in the process of establishing dealers across Europe, and it's a vehicle of the future that is far more suited to commuting than the traditional car. The Lumineo Smeras specifications are in line with the other tilting car concepts in that it weighs in at less than half the weight of a small car, 450 kilos in this case. The two electric motors give it 30 kilowatts in total, which gives a vehicle quite lively acceleration to its top speed of around 130 kilometres per hour. Most significantly, it has a range of 150 kilometres, which makes it a viable electric vehicle that's available right this moment. Another very similar machine is the Tilting Car project based in London. The company's 350 kilo narrow car tilts, uses a 400cc motorcycle engine, and it has a top speed of 85 miles per hour, similar to that of the Smera, and it gets 100 miles to the gallon. For now, it's still a concept in development, but with strong links to automotive design and race experts ProDrive, it's more likely to get up than not. BMW's enclosed C3 motorcycle was launched a decade ago and withdrawn from the market through lack of interest. It was so far ahead of its time that it is now re-emerging as a two-wheel road safety pin-up vehicle. The design addresses most of the safety concerns of a motorcycle, benefits from a host of active safety technologies introduced by BMW since we last saw the C3 available a decade ago, and now it's electric. It's the safest motorcycle design yet made, without doubt. It was a decade ahead of its time, and its time is now. The C3 may be one of those very rare products which gets a second chance at life and goes on to become a killer app. Adiva's fully enclosed design first saw the market as the Benelli Adiva, which we tested and raved about 5 years ago. The Adiva design is quite similar to BMW's fully enclosed design, and it offers the additional ability to fold the roof away on sunny days, yet put it up and stay warm and dry when it rains, and it only takes a few seconds to do that. A CVT transmission ensures the engine is always operating at peak efficiency, and the company finally has volume production lined up, and we expect it to become a major player with its Italian design and Chinese production, creating a compelling proposition to commuters with its 125 and 200cc fully enclosed motor scooters. At Tokyo, Adiva announced two three-wheel variants, one with two wheels at the front and one with two wheels at the rear. The latter to be known as the Moose and sold as a reconfigurable electric urban commercial delivery vehicle. Now, we haven't been able to untangle the complex rebadging, OEM, manufacture, design and distribution relationships between the Adiva Moose and the products of Chinese manufacturer Xinyi and the visions of Italian design house Ex Novo. A very similar machine to the Adiva Moose, albeit with an internal combustion 150cc motor, is produced by Xinyi, and European distributor Sidam has been showing an identical design to the Moose in electric hybrid and internal combustion forms for several years. In Canada, the Xinyi sells for 5,500 Canadian dollars, and in America it forms the basis of the Automoto, which comes with anti-lock brakes, a built-in speaker system with provision for an MP3 player to be plugged in, a lockable luggage compartment, and a range of accessories including side door enclosures and additional lockable luggage compartments. What we do know is the design is a ripper. I first came across a Xinyi in the streets of Akihabara in 2007 at the time of the Tokyo Motor Show, and spent some time talking to the owner, who reported the machine was perfect for Tokyo's congested roadways, really easy to ride, and had been extremely reliable. I expect the Xinyi in its various forms to do very well indeed, and it might well be that it becomes a massive sales success, even if it does get offered in slightly different forms with different brand names in different markets. In America, as the Automoto, it's probably the most enticing of the lot at just US $3,800. In the middle ground, a number of tilting three-wheeled machines have emerged, most successfully from Piaggio and Galera. Piaggio markets several different versions of the three-wheeler, including a hybrid electric with a 125cc internal combustion engine and with normal internal combustion engines from 125 to the sports-orientated 500 Fuoco Galera. This was the bike which we tested several years back, which really sold everyone here on three wheels. On dry tarmac, it could not be faulted. It stops quicker and safer than a motorcycle, thanks to twice the tyre contact patch up front. It doesn't get disturbed from its line in corners when it hits a bump or pothole, and it kept measuring up to everything we threw at it so well that we went looking for trouble. We eventually found a car park with large stretches of flat tarmac liberally coated with a thin layer of fine sand and began purposefully locking the front wheels to see what happened. On a motorcycle, it would have been messy and painful and expensive, but the two wheels up front gives you enough time to unlock the front brake, stay upright, rather than kissing the bitumen. If you've got some macho idea about scooters being a bit limp, this will turn you around. For learners, it's much safer than a motorcycle, particularly in that very dangerous period just as light rain begins falling on roads that have been dry for a long time and have built up a coating of oil and rubber. At least half a dozen of our riders tested the Piaggio, and everyone, like seasoned motorcyclists, were amazed at how good it is. 3 wheels is safer, offers better cornering, and allows you to do things you can't do on 2 wheels. More recently, a hybrid from Peugeot that uses a 125cc normal internal combustion engine with 2 front-wheel electric motors has been shown. And for our money, Peugeot, one of the few manufacturers that actually has motorcycles and cars, along with BMW and Honda, could be set to do very well with this machine. Both the Piaggio range and the Peugeot range have their 2 wheels at the front, and the next one, the Carver, which is from Holland, has the 2 wheels at the rear. The Carver originated in Holland. It's spent time being redesigned as a hybrid electric vehicle at Japanese automotive design boutique Fiaro, and now appears ready to emerge in America under the working title Venture One, or Fly the Road. Yamaha continues to develop its Tesseract 4-wheel motorcycle. With budget cutbacks halving the size of the Tokyo show, it was hard to determine just how much we would have seen of the Tesseract in normal economic circumstances. The Tesseract's ingenious 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel suspension and steering must surely be the basis of a safer narrow-track vehicle design of the future. Throw in Yamaha's knowledge of 2-wheel drive motorcycles, and the Tesseract might one day add a new dimension to narrow-track vehicle stability and sheer recreational delight with a 4-wheel drive motorcycle. And a roof would be relatively easy to add. The Tesseract appeared in part in Yamaha's technology showcase section at Tokyo, and it's to be hoped that we see more of this innovative 4-wheeler. Half the width means half the weight, more agility, more access to narrow roads, easier parking, and much, much quicker road transit times. From a driving viewpoint, the lighter weight of a much smaller vehicle will further enhance the torquey power characteristics of an electric motor to achieve what Nissan is calling linear acceleration. The Land Glider, you can expect performance equivalent to a 200cc scooter with a top speed electronically limited to about 120 kilometres an hour. At speeds such as that, 120 kilometres an hour, 70 miles an hour, the Land Glider would be using less than a quarter of the energy a car would be using. That's because it has half the frontal area and half the drag coefficient, and it makes for a very energy efficient vehicle, and that's what makes the narrow track vehicle so appealing as an alternative to the car. The Land Glider's steer-by-wire functionality uses sensors to measure vehicle speed, steering angle and yaw rate, then calculates the angle of lean required to negotiate a corner. The Land Glider is rear-wheel drive with 2 electric motors in the rear powered by lithium-ion batteries mounted beneath the floor in a similar way to the Tango to offer an extremely low centre of gravity. The car also features a non-contact charging system that can be charged while shopping at a supermarket or stopping at a motorway service station. This system enables vehicles to be charged wirelessly at locations where the infrastructure exists. Obviously, it's still a concept and it doesn't exist just yet, but it's a really interesting one that we haven't seen before. To ensure maximum safety while driving, engineers have fitted a car robotics-style crash avoidance system in which sensors mounted in the body detect other vehicles in the same way that as fish swim in schools, they don't collide. This system directs the vehicle's path away from any obstacles, though I'm still not sure about this. Maybe I'm a Luddite, but I'd like to be making the decisions as to where a car or motorcycle is going in a crisis situation. There will be a lot of robotics in the Land Glider. Robotics and Nissan have been synonymous words in recent times as far as concept models go. At CTEC, which is like the Asian equivalent of the Consumer Electronics Show, Nissan announced that it has updated its ePoro robot concept vehicle that uses a laser range finder to detect obstacles and objects and avoid them. A similar accident avoidance system is going into the Land Glider. This week Nissan showed a set of Segway like balancing skis that had developed in partnership with Japan's National Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, and those skis will become competitors to Toyota's winglets and Honda's U3X. In 2005 it showed Pivo, an electric concept car with a revolving cabin which eliminated the need to reverse and had multiple drive-by-wire systems and excellent visibility. In 2007 it showed Pivo 2, which had a 360-degree turning cabin and 90-degree turning wheels based around what had become a proprietary Nissan 3D motor technology, and a robotic agent to create a unique owner-vehicle relationship that is akin to that of a bilingual Japanese-English friend. Accordingly, you'd never be alone in the Pivo 2, with conversations possible in Japanese and English, and the personal agent's task being to make every journey less stressful. It also offers a conversational interface with the car, covering everything from basic vehicle functions through to the nearest available parking. The high-tech robotics in the Land Glider may be far less obtrusive than in previous concept cars, but there's a lot of research behind the Land Glider, and my discussions with the engineers left me in no doubt that the Land Glider on show at Tokyo was absolutely fully functioning. It may not appeal to everyone, but it looks like being near the convergence point where you get the economy and footprint of a motorcycle and the comfort and safety of a car. A smaller vehicle uses less energy, it uses the limited space on the roads more efficiently, and it gets you there quicker. Medium and long term, all you need to do is look at the trends to understand we're inevitably heading towards global gridlock, and it's becoming increasingly obvious that what we now consider a basic right, which is unlimited personal mobility on public roads, is simply not sustainable as the population grows. Double-tier roads or additional underground thoroughfares are too costly to consider. Public mass transport with very small personal mobility devices for last-mile transport is probably the ultimate solution, and Japan is already leading the world in that regard as well. In the short term, though, we think the single-track vehicle is the only viable way of putting more people on the roads, and the big corporations are now beginning to move in that direction with vehicles such as BMW's L1, Renault's Twizy, and the Nissan Land Glider.